I think I should begin by mentioning that since the passage of Proposition 1A in 2008, each of us has expressed our support for high-speed rail done right, by which we mean a genuinely statewide system that makes prudent use of limited public funds and which is responsive to legitimate concerns about the impact of high-speed rail on our cities, our towns, and our neighborhoods. To date, however, the High-Speed Rail Authority has failed to develop and describe such a system for the peninsula and the South Bay. For that reason, we have taken it upon ourselves today to set forth some basic parameters for what high-speed rail done right looks like in our region. We start with the premise that for the authority to succeed in its statewide mission, it must be sensitive to and responsive to local concerns about local impacts. Moreover, it is undeniable that funding will be severely limited at both the state and national levels for the foreseeable future. Much of the projected cost for the San Jose to San Francisco leg of the project is driven by the fact that the authority has to date proposed what is essentially a second rail system for the peninsula and the South Bay, unnecessarily duplicating existing usable infrastructure. Even if such a duplicative system could be constructed without adverse impact along the Caltrain corridor, and we do not believe it can, the cost of such duplication simply cannot be justified. If we can barely find the funds to do high-speed rail done right, we most certainly cannot find the funds to do high-speed rail done wrong. Continuing to plan for a project of this scope in the face of limited funding and growing community resistance is a fool's errand, and it is particularly ill-advised when predicated on ridership projections that are less than credible.
I believe that Caltrain, which is the spine of our transportation system today, running through 3 counties, should remain our anchor commuter system for the 21st century, period. We all know that money is tough to come by. We know it here in our local community, we know it throughout the state, and we certainly know it in Washington, D.C. So every resource that we pursue, we know is difficult to secure, but it also has to be used wisely and invested well. I think that this investment in the PTC system and a blended system that integrates high-speed rail coming up from the Central Valley with a 21st century Caltrain will benefit not only my constituents on the peninsula, but Caltrain and future generations as well. The California High-Speed Rail Authority, and I don't think they started out by intending to alienate anyone, but it is what it is, and I don't think I need to walk people through what has taken place over many, many months here on the peninsula. I really believe that they have squandered a great deal of the goodwill on the peninsula by not honoring our communities. Each community is unique. Each community has its own history. Each community has its own traditions, and they are proud of it, and they are entitled to this source of pride.
Let me start by saying that I believe that high-speed rail should be a part of California's future. We have always been a visionary place, a place willing to experiment, and so we should be the leader in high-speed rail. I am realistic, however, and understand that it will be decades before we truly have a high-speed rail system in California. Given the current financial straits at the federal and state level, amassing the funds necessary to build this system across California will take time. In the interim, there will be funds spent on high-speed rail, and I believe that it is imperative for the High-Speed Rail Authority to guarantee that whatever funds are spent in a way that enhance and upgrade our existing intercity and regionalized transportation systems in California.
I think the bottom line message I want to convey is, if it isn't done right, it isn't going to get done. That's really the message we're trying to send.
Was this still rejected by the powers that determined?
Well, we are 2 years plus into the process since the passage of a bond measure, and we are still hearing conversation about an aerial viaduct up and down the peninsula. We are still hearing proposals to push well beyond the right-of-way up and down the corridor, and there is an EIR being prepared as we meet and speak today for a project scope that is well beyond anything that is either affordable or acceptable along the corridor.